Wonderful. All right. Welcome to the webinar for today, everyone. This is part of the DeKalb County UNITES initiative. It's our Getting Ready for Recovery series. We have these webinars every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 2 p.m. We focus on Mondays, usually on the financial aspects. So we've got accountants and bankers on. Midweek, it's a lot of just strategies from industry experts. And then on Fridays, which is my favorite segment, it's really the small business spotlight, where we bring on different entrepreneurs in our area and find out how they pivoted during the COVID-19 crisis and learn just tips and tricks that they adopted for their business and how to be successful during this time. I did want to introduce myself. My name is Cohen Barnes. I'm with Sundog IT. I'm a fellow small business owner here in DeKalb County. And I wanted to tell you a second about DeKalb County UNITES. This is a grassroots initiative that was formed rapidly as soon as the COVID-19 crisis and shelter-in-place happened. A bunch of us realized that this was going to greatly impact the small business community, so we decided to focus on that with singular focus in order to figure out how to drive a positive economic impact to the small business community in our area. DeKalb County UNITES is just made up of volunteers from the university, from the private sector, the nonprofit sector, the government sector, just a whole bunch of people that came together and, again, trying to make that positive impact on our small businesses. You can go to our website at DeKalbCountyUnites.com. We have a wealth of information up there, as well as all of our previous webinars have been recorded, so you can go ahead and click and view any of the series. I think we're on our 12th, 13th, or 14th one at this point, so there's a wealth of information out there. So that's something that we've done, but we also reached out to all the large employers during this shelter in place and had a discussion with the large employers to figure out how they might be able to dedicate some of their purchasing right now and focus more on the local economy and the small business community, and had great success with that. We had over 50 large employers redirect their spending as much as possible to the local economy, as well as buying food for their staff through local restaurants. And then some actually accelerated their purchases. Money they were gonna spend anyway throughout the entire year, they went ahead and just spent that money now to put dollars in the pockets of our small business community. And then the last thing that we do is, as I mentioned, this webinar series. And our whole goal is to bring as much value as possible to you, the small business owner here in DeKalb County, and beyond. Actually, at this point, we're getting viewership from quite a wide area. And we're just trying to make the best impact that we possibly can. So I wanted to describe really quick how this works. If you have a question for Steve, myself, in general, all we have to do is move your mouse down to the bottom of your screen, and you're gonna see a little Q&A button. I encourage you to click on the Q&A button, type in your question, and I will go ahead and make sure that we get those answered from Steve. And that is perfect. Let me just rearrange here. I want to be able to see Steve while I talk to him. And then I guess without further ado, I'll introduce Steve Byers from Byers Brewing Company here in DeKalb, Illinois. In fact, I'm in Sundog. We're both downtown DeKalb. I am literally right above him right now, and he is in the lower level. So it's kind of funny with shelter in place. We're in two different geographies online talking to each other, even though we probably, if we listened really hard, could hear each other through the floor of this establishment.
We probably could.
I know. So Steve, I just wanted to say welcome today, and you're a full-time teacher by trade, correct?
I am, yeah. Thanks for having me. I teach over at DeKalb High School biology.
So you already had a full day of online teaching, and now you're transitioning to being a brewer at Byers Brewing.
Yep. I've been doing both for since August now, and it's a full day.
Yeah, I bet it is, man. I see your truck here all the time, like we were talking earlier. All right, I got a couple questions for you right out of the gate. One, I'd love if you could just kind of describe briefly about Byers Brewing, and then when shelter in place in the COVID-19 crisis, what was it like pre, and then now kind of what is it like? How did it impact Byers Brewing?
Okay. Well, to start out, Byers Brewing Company is a small nano brewery here in downtown DeKalb. We make 3-barrel batches of beer. Our business focus when we founded the brewery, it was a big part of our goal was to try and bring people to downtown DeKalb. We wanted to have a brewery, but we also wanted to be a integral part of the community. So early on, we had the business model of taproom sales only. So we didn't really have a to-go option for our beer. People had to come in to the brewery to try it, to enjoy it. And we did that because we wanted to bring people to downtown DeKalb. We love it here, and we thought that was important to us. So we've been making beer and everything, and then leading up to this happening, you know, my wife and I, our business is just owned, the two of us, so we get to make all the decisions together, which is fun. But you know, we saw a little bit of this coming. We joked about it a couple times, like, you know, business is going to be slower, but as long as they don't shut our doors, we'll be fine. And then, of course, that day came when they said, you got to close the doors and not let people in. So our immediate, you know, it was a little bit of shock and, okay, well, what are we going to do? Because our whole business was about getting people in the door, and then we couldn't have the door open. So we immediately started thinking about our options. Craft beer is typically in a couple different to-go options. I mean, most people are familiar with cans and bottles, and that's something that is the equipment to do that is pretty expensive. To my understanding, some of the like small things cost around $10,000 to get started canning or bottling beer. So we didn't have that as we opened in August. So we had, you know, kind of August, September, October, just a couple months of kind of normal business as usual. And then the winter slow time, which I think a lot of restaurants, bars, that sort of thing, it slows down for the winter time. And we saw a decline in December, January, and February. And we were really excited for a great March. Obviously, this happened in the middle of March. So we quickly tried to figure out what our best options were. And so we were already selling out of the tap room 32-ounce howlers, which are to-go bottles that we can fill up right at the beer tap, label it, seal it, and people can take it to go. And we quickly then went on and bought the bigger growlers, the 64-ounce growlers. So our main, I guess, the big pivot that we did as far as that was packaging our beer. We're still looking into canning. When they announced that that May was going to be closed too, we ordered a canning machine that will seal cans up for us. And we're in the process of getting all the equipment together for what money we have, so that we can hopefully here before May is over, we can offer some cans. It's kind of a long process because there's label approval and a few different things, and we have to gather and build some things in order to be able to do that at a price that we can afford. So the big pivot was just figuring out how to package the beer so people could take it with them.
Yeah, and I love the idea of canning. It's a substantial financial investment, but I assume by the time you get it in, done, shelter in place is most likely going to be over at that point. Would that be an accurate statement?
I would imagine that it'll be over at that point, but I think we also didn't realize, I think having been in the community as a business now for 6 months or so, I think our community really likes to enjoy beer at home. So it wasn't really our original plan of just having the tap room and getting people to come in, I think is great and wonderful, and I love it. But I think there's also this want in our community for people who just don't want to come in. Even before this, they just didn't want to come out. They want to enjoy it at home where they don't have to drive anywhere. There's no transportation. It's just how people want to enjoy beer. So I think we were already thinking about getting into canning. We just are accelerating the process, and hopefully we'll have some, probably around beginning of June is when we'll actually have some we can sell.
That's great. We've heard on these webinars multiple times just about that. In adversity, there's opportunity, right? And it's pretty cool that you have the opportunity to not only invest in something that might make an impact in the now, but also is long-term going to be just a beneficial add-on to your business to generate hopefully even more revenue than you were generating before the COVID-19 crisis. Jenna, how you doing? Hey, Jenna. Can you hear me, Jenna? Looking like no. We'll keep going, Steve, and see if Jenna can get this figured out. All right, so the canning piece is long-term, which is absolutely awesome. But
you can hear them now.
When you decided to do the growlers and the howlers component,
Yeah.
Obviously your revenue was cut drastically. The growlers and howlers, are they replacing your revenue, or is your revenue still down? And I'm imagining it's still way down like everyone during this crisis.
Yeah, it's a good question. So I think our original predictions, and the first week or so, it looked like we were going to be sitting at really about 10% of what we expected. And then since we formed this alliance and we've added delivery too, we're really sitting at like almost 30% of what we would expect our revenue to be if it were normal times. So I'm really happy with that. I think 30% is more than we expected to be doing. So it has slowed down, I think, in the last week or so. But to be doing more than 20% of that, I think we're lucky that we are getting a decent amount of money in the door.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, it would be if we were open, but it's better than nothing.
Yeah. Hey, Jenna, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
There you are. Welcome.
Hello. Thanks.
Hey, I wanted to introduce everyone to Jenna. She's with Jonamac Orchard. Welcome today, Jenna.
Hello. Thank you. Thanks
So
for having
Steve
me.
and I were just talking about when the COVID-19 crisis hit. You know, Byers Brewing was in one state right before it. And then when the crisis hit, obviously that changed everything. And he was just telling us about the impact it made on his business. I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about Jonamac Orchard. In particular, I assume the cider house is definitely your expertise. What were things like? I know you're not recently opened, but kind of recently opened for us old timers for sure. And just kind of curious about, you know, how things were operating, and then once it hit, what's the impact on you?
Sure. So, well, we are a fully operational agricultural business as well as we're, you know, a farm, not just a tourism destination, though we're considered agro-tourism. So in the very beginning, we tried to get as much work done as we could on the farm. And then we let our employees have some time off while we kind of tried to figure out how to safely continue to operate our farm and give our employees the best safety practices here by staggering breaks and giving them PPE and things like that so that they felt safe. So our farm is still operating as usual, but we've had to cancel all of our off-season events, which are really nice for our business because they help offset some operating costs for us. Not to mention bring in some extra revenue and some fun things to our farm. We had also recently ramped up our cider making operation because we had gotten into all the local, or a lot of the local restaurants and bars, and then all of that immediately stopped. So we were sitting on some extra product, which was kind of one of the reasons why we decided to jump in and make something happen with the brewers in town.
Yeah, I definitely want to talk about the alliance because I'm fascinated by that, and it's just an absolutely wonderful idea. But how about for you guys specifically? How have you been able to pivot essentially and adapt and maintain some revenue streams? Like, what are you doing differently? I assume curbside pickup is something.
Yeah, so actually I'm gearing up right now for our very first ever donut drive up. We have never done anything like this in
That's
our
awesome.
history.
I'm in.
And so we opened it up for online sales, and we decided we were going to sell a dozen donuts and limit each person to 1 dozen donuts, but also open it up so they could take home wine and hard cider, some apple butter, some of our other products that we have right now. We wanted to donate proceeds from every sale of donuts back to the taking care of our caretakers
Great group
event. Yeah, our group. So we just love the fact that they're not only supporting our caretakers on the front line, but they're also buying all the food from local restaurants. So with this fundraiser, we've raised enough to do 2 large scale donations of meals to the taking care of our caretakers group.
That's absolutely awesome.
So.
Yeah, we've had Jeff Dovey from Fatty's on and Bill McMahon from the Lincoln Inn, and they've been direct beneficiaries of taking care of your caretakers, as well as just about any restaurant, it seems like at this point, that is actually providing food of any way, shape, or form. So yeah, Melissa Butts and her team of taking care of caretakers, if you haven't heard of them, you got to Google them. They're looking for donations, and those donations are going right into the local economy, just as Jenna just said. All right, so Steve, you were doing growlers and hollers and trying to generate some additional traffic that way. Jenna, you're getting ready to do a donut drive up, and obviously I can get some cider if I want during that time. But can you guys talk a little bit about the other initiative that you did, where my understanding is the Forge Brewhouse, Byers Brewing Company, and Jonamac Orchard all came together and formed a group to help just generate revenue. And whichever one of you wants to start, but I'd love to hear more about the idea, how you thought of it, how you guys came together to implement it, and what that's been like.
You want me to start?
Sure, go ahead.
So I think how it began, I think was I was keeping in touch via the Brewers Association, and we have a couple different ways that craft beer professionals kind of communicate what everybody's doing. And I noticed that beer delivery was a new thing that was, because of COVID-19, the state of Illinois had kind of passed and was working on, I think at the time, passing so that we could deliver beer. So I thought to myself, well, beer delivery is one way we can make money. Because as I kind of said before, our entire revenue stream was essentially severed. So we had no revenue, and okay, well, we got to figure out a way to make some money. We got bills to pay. So I thought to myself, man, I'd love to deliver beer, but knowing kind of our product limitations, we only keep 6 beers on tap here. So we have a relatively small selection of beers. And having worked with Jenna before and JD before at Forge Brewhouse, I immediately thought, man, it'd be great to be able to diversify what products we can offer to people. And like we carried Jenna cider here. So I have I had at the time, I still do, Jenna cider in the fridge. And I was like, you know, as long as I'm delivering beer, it would be great if I could also deliver cider. And so I approached, I think, both JD and Jenna and just said, hey, I'm thinking about getting into this delivery. And I'd love to be able to offer a wider selection. Because not everybody, that's one thing that customers have communicated to us, is that not everybody really likes beer. I like beer a lot, but I understand not everybody likes the same things. I know you, Cohen, you're not a big beer drinker yourself. So I wanted to make sure that, you know, if we were going to do this delivery, it takes a little bit of work to set up delivery, to logistically organize it all. And I just really wanted as much product as possible for people so that people could find something they like. And really, I thought it was more, how can we, and I still feel during this time, that if we as business owners are making sure we're taking care of our customers, that once this is over, then I hope that our customers will come back and they'll take care of us. And I think it's just been, everybody needs to take care of everybody. So that was, I think, how the DeKalb County Craft Brewers Alliance started, was I approached them and said, hey, can we deliver, and can I deliver your product? Anything I forgot, Jenna?
Well, I would say that being an alliance with each our own liquor license kind of helps logistically. And we also built an online platform so that everybody could purchase all of their products from one database. So I put that all together on our website just because we have the infrastructure there with ordering already. And then we put everybody's product all on one page, so they could either have it delivered or have it available for pickup at one of our locations, which made it really nice too.
Yeah, that's
definitely.
definitely.
You got it up right there.
Yeah, the convenience was fantastic. I mean, that was really smart of you to do that, taking advantage of technology to help just the process and drive sales.
Yeah, and that was all Jenna. I mean, that was her idea from the beginning. I was a little intimidated as not a tech person myself, as how could we make it happen? And she took the lead on that, and it has been working great.
And you know,
I'm
safety
working on
comes up.
updating it to make it a little nicer looking, but right
Oh,
now
I
this
think it
has
looks
been
great.
working pretty well.
I've seen a lot of stuff as people have pivoted during this crisis, and no, it's a nice shopping cart, super easy. How about, you know, safety keeps coming up, especially when people are doing curbside pickup and things like that. How does the pay transactions work? I mean, do you give someone a credit card when you go to deliver, or what's that process like?
So they pay everything through this online database, which is really nice. And that way there's no need to actually do a cash transaction. And we thought that that was really easy because it makes it easy to pay each of us, you know, as needed, business wise, but also it makes it safer for the guests because they don't, or the customers, because they don't actually have to, they can grab their products, sanitize them as needed, and or as they want, and they don't have to handle cash. We don't, and it's safer for Steve, our driver, our delivery driver.
When I go out on these deliveries, a lot of these are repeat customers. They're customers who, you know, we know personally or somebody knows personally. And so it's been great because it's kind of like the milkman. I feel like the milkman, you know, with our growlers, I pick up an empty one and leave a full one because they've already paid for the beer. And if it's somebody I know, I already know that they're of age, you know, I don't have to verify ID. That's, I think, really the only interaction that is sometimes required the first time that I deliver to them is I have to verify age. But other than that, I usually just, you know, I have my gloves on, my mask on, I just set the product outside their door. Sometimes I'll ring the doorbell, and then I'll take, you know, a few steps back away from the door, and I'll just, you know, say, hey, beer delivery, thank you, or wine delivery, thank you for supporting us. And other times, if it's somebody who I know, I just drop it, and then I shoot them over a text and say, hey, there's beer outside your door. So there's really not a lot of interaction between me and the customer.
I would like to say I'm very proud of Steve for taking the initiative to only deliver cold beer too.
And well, so you know the tenacity of this guy. I've been on a Zoom meeting with someone, a returning customer, so you've already established age and all that. And in the backyard, here comes Steve and leaves the beer deposit on the guy's porch in his backyard. So that's tenacity of the delivery process. We really laughed, so that was great.
Like I said before, I'm trying to take care of our customers. They're ordering beer, they want cold beer, you know, and got to get them what they want.
Yeah, we got a bunch of questions coming in. So one, have you considered partnering with any other businesses or organizations, whether it's directly Jonamac with someone else or the Alliance or Steve with someone else? Have you guys thought of that or any other ideas out there?
Oh, go ahead, Steve.
I was just going to say, I have not really given a whole lot of thought. I kind of thought that if there was somebody else who wanted to get in on the delivery, another business who our business model of delivery might work for them, I kind of thought they'd reach out to us, and nobody's reached out to us. But I'd be open to whatever anybody thought might be a good idea.
There's one from Trish, Need H Beer.
Tell her that on Monday I'm going to brew the Hefeweizen is what she's talking about. She really likes our Hefeweizen. So I'm brewing it Monday. So and about 2 weeks after Monday.
Of course, the fun ones, one of Steve's beers would be really good with this excellent webinar. Can you run a beer or two over to my desk right now? So I assume you're not taking deliveries at this moment.
I have a couple apps done.
How about for the both of you and maybe Jenna, did your affiliation with the County Bold Spirits group at all help bring the Brewers Alliance together, or any connection between the two at all?
I would say definitely. I mean, from the very beginning, we have the Bold Spirits group has been a great connection for us to all get together and work together and just use it as a great networking opportunity. I actually work with JD quite a lot already. We have some collaboration products, we have an apple ale together, a pumpkin ale. Steve also does a pumpkin ale with us, or he gets our pumpkins and turns them into a really tasty ale. And then we actually purchased our canning line with JD. So we share our canning line back and forth. So we work together on a lot of things, and it's been a really great, great thing for us to be open to collaborate in multiple ways.
So I do know we do have representatives from our Illinois State Congress on this call. I won't reveal any names, but just out of curiosity, this is from another participant. John is asking, and this is for the benefit of one of our state reps. Is there any indication that the state may allow these expanded services to continue to help businesses like you guys recover even when things go back to normal? And I assume we're referring to before this, you couldn't deliver beer. Now
Correct.
You are able to. Have you heard anything, or have you started advocating for that kind of support?
So far, the TTB hasn't released any updates saying how long this will go, just that they are allowing it to continue.
Awesome. So there was no end date on the order.
Not
my knowledge, no.
Yeah, that's great. So as part of DeKalb County UNITES, we'll make sure to communicate that to all of our state reps, that's a great idea, John, about how long can this be extended, just to, because I mean, obviously the impact to you guys is great, but it's going to be continual. So could we leave something like this in place for the foreseeable future to allow it just to be one more revenue stream to help you all recover? I have another one from Tia. Do you think you'll keep any of these new alliances services once we resume to normalcy? I assume in answer to the question we just had, the answer would be yes. You're going to continue delivering?
It's definitely something that we will try and do. Logistically, once we've got taproom operation back up and everything, it would take a little bit to keep it going. But if it's something we can do and it's something that people want, then I think we'll definitely do our best to keep it going.
Yeah, I actually shouldn't have assumed that, because it is, if the economic model is there, then obviously, yeah, why wouldn't you continue to do it? But yeah, if your place is full and delivering the costs to do that are just too high, I can see where maybe you wouldn't continue it. But I know people definitely love it. I hear about it all the time with all three of you in the Alliance, just what a great service it is. Let's see. Oh, so, okay. Jeff, Illinois State Representative Jeff Kiker is saying it's something we've been pushing for since last year, working with the Illinois craft beer folks. So it sounded like even before COVID-19, this was something that they were talking about. So maybe that's really going to help now that it's been done to leave that in place. So it's one more option or one more tool in your tool belt after this crisis is over. So Jeff, I really appreciate you chiming in. Thanks about that. Hey, how about, so this whole delivery thing, obviously it's nice to get some extra dollars in, but like you said, Steve, logistically it's tough. Doing something like this, I would assume it's more, well, actually, what I'm trying to ask is, it seems like there'd be another motive behind this. And to me, it would be staying top of mind with your customers. It's just one more way to make sure that you stay relevant in their minds. So when the crisis turns around, that, like you said, Steve, that they're going to remember your actions here. Is that one of the reasons why you guys decided to form the Alliance and make this happen?
I think we didn't discuss it as a like driving factor for forming the Alliance and doing this. I think it at the time there was just so much going on, you know, and I know, if I can speak personally, that my wife and I felt a little bit panicked. How are we going to, you know, keep our business going? We're just getting going. We're still, you know, in our first year of doing business. And so it definitely wasn't something that I consciously thought about when we decided to do this, but it's definitely, looking back on it, I feel like that it is doing that, you know, it's helping get our, just keep our business on people's mind. I know when I watched the webinar with Bill from Lincoln Inn, he talked about that, you know, he really cut back on spending except for advertising. And I think that working together really keeps us top of mind with a bigger customer base, because, you know, we have people who are fans of Byers Brewing Company. There's people who are fans of Jonamac or of the Forge, and some of those people they just really like that. You know, they really like Jenna's cider, they really like the wines, or they like JD's beer. And so by working together, they also see Byers Brewing Company when they go online to order their stuff, you know, and it's more likely, I think, that they might click on something to try it since it is so easy and they're all together on there. So I think kind of the answer is it wasn't intentional to help us be top of mind, but it definitely is something that is helping.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Like I said, the feedback that I've been getting from so many people, it was just a great idea. And that's what I was thinking of, was just one more way to stay relevant out there, especially when things turn around. So on that note, now I'll start with you, Jenna. What have you done to try and stay top of mind with your customer base during this COVID crisis? From social media or any advertising you've been doing, anything like that? Oh, you're muted, Jenna. And if you look somewhere on your
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay.
You're good.
So I would say definitely social media has been a big thing for us. And then, you know, we're kind of trying to figure out how to logistically do little events like this donut drive up. Our biggest thing is just, if we do try and make an event happen where people can, you know, get the things that they love from us, like our donuts and wine, we just really want to keep safety as the biggest priority. And so we've had to limit orders and things like that, just to make sure that we can handle all of the traffic and take all of the proper precautions for our staff and our guests. So those are the main things that we're doing, is just you know, trying to remind people that we're still here and offer delivery and other pickup options for now.
Along those lines, and Steve, maybe you comment on this one. There's small businesses that are attending right now, listening to this, and that watch later. You know, you guys may not think like you're doing things pretty amazing, but in comparison to a lot, you are. And people are really looking for all those little ideas, tips, or tricks. So the social media, absolutely. But is there, or along that, what kind of social media posts are you doing that you think are effective, or even not effective? But what are you just doing to keep Byers Brewery or Jonamac Orchard out there in front of people? And I'm just curious, anything you could share that I think you guys have both been amazing through this process. But I didn't know if you had any tips or tricks you'd share.
I guess from early on, my wife and I, you know, social media is something that we all have access to, and for the most part, it's free to advertise on social media. However, social media kind of regulates how many people will actually see if you don't, you know, boost a post or pay for it to be a sponsored ad. So it's free to some extent, but I think our goal has always been that, you know, at least one post a day to social media. We did that before this happened, and now we're still trying to maintain, you know, at least a post every other day, or a post every day. And then I know for us, it's kind of all about variety. We do some posts where they're mostly text. We do some that are images or graphics. We use one of the things that I think Jenna uses too is was it Canva website to design pictures and ads and different things to post, and then videos. I do a lot of videos, and really the videos seem to be what reaches the most people. And you know, I think even now where we're on a video call and, you know, I get to see myself talking and stuff, I think we all feel like we look like idiots when we're talking. And I think you just got to get past that and, you know, put it out there. It's something that people want to see, and people want to know the people involved with the business. You know, I think one of the big things that we try and do is keep not only top of mind with the business, but, you know, our big thing is we're the Byers family. And so we try and keep us as a family, you know, pictures of our kids. I did one post the other day that was, hey, we're closed because we decided not to be open Sundays. We weren't doing a lot of business Sundays. We really just wanted to spend time with our kids. As you and I talked about before, Cohen, you know, I'm here a lot. I teach at the high school, so I have to do my e-learning stuff, and I usually do that here because all of the wonderful people out there doing e-learning at home with their kids will tell you it's very difficult when there's a lot of kids around. So I come here every day and, you know, just keeping a variety of different things and making sure that people are not only thinking of your business, but they're also thinking of the people who depend on that business, the people who are the business. You know, it's not just Jonamac Orchard. There's a whole family of people involved with the orchard, and there's a whole family involved with the brewery. I think both on my end and at JD over at the Forge, you know, just trying to keep people aware that these aren't just businesses. These are people. And oftentimes there's quite a bit. We really have a small business. Nobody gets paid from the Byers Brewing Company because I'm still teaching, my wife's still working, but these other businesses. And just, you know, people are sensitive to the fact that there's people behind these businesses.
How about you, Jenna? Like anything specific along the lines of what Steve was talking about?
Yeah, definitely. I am a big fan of Steve's videos, so he does a real good job of that for sure. But I would say that with our social media posts, we try to do a mixture as well, but we think it's very important to not only tell people about our products, educate people about agriculture, but also tell our story and share about what's happening. You know, right before a lot of this was going on and we started promoting our donut sale, we were sharing about how we had one of the other members of our third generation here, and we were teaching him how to press cider. So I think and we were showing, you know, the process of us pressing cider. And I think that's so important for people to see and feel a connection, not only with our family, like what Steve was saying, but with what we're doing and learn more about it. And I guess along with that, we also find it very, very important to connect with our community in any way we can, whether it's connecting with other businesses, you know, like these guys with the Brewers Alliance, or, you know, trying to be creative with other businesses. Like we've worked with Fatty's and Remington's to try and help them find growlers for their beer, which we're letting them use our cider jugs and repurpose those. And then we've also gotten jugs to the 2 distilleries because we saw they were having a hard time getting packaging for their hand sanitizer needs. So we love trying to use that social media not only to tell people what we're doing, but learn what other people in the community need and reach out and help them and all work together. And I think that we're really lucky to be in DeKalb County.
Yeah, you know, and that right there is what I've always loved about the small business community, and I'm sure it's that we're everywhere, but I only know DeKalb County, right? I am amazed in great times. The small business community are the ones supporting the school sporting event, right? Or supporting the nonprofits, Meals for Moms event, or whatever it might be. And then in a situation like this, with all the stuff you two have going on, right? You're figuring out ways to collaborate and work together and help other businesses out, which is just staggeringly awesome on so many levels. So kudos to you for sure. I got a question that came in, which I think is a really cool idea. Do you offer any gift baskets with all the Alliance members for presents, welcome to the neighborhood, thank you gifts, etc.? I don't know if you can do that now, but that's a pretty killer idea for after this thing. What do you guys think? Are you thinking of that at all, or no?
It has not been discussed between all of us. I know we just recently actually had someone put in an order for all three, or we oftentimes get people online who put in an order for all of us, but we just had somebody contact us about doing something like that, and we haven't figured out logistics of it all yet. But I think it's definitely something that as Jenna and JD and I need to talk about and figure out a way we can, help in just give people a way to support all three of us. Cause those are always the best deliveries when there's a little Jonamac, a little Forge, and there's a little Byers Brewing.
We would certainly love that, but we also support that everybody has their own likes. So they can build it themselves from our website and we'd happily deliver.
I'm thinking post-COVID, like when we have our company picnic, I will definitely remember this. And that would be, what a cool way to have all the beverages be brewed or distilled or whatever locally. That'd be a really cool touch. So that'd be neat to, I bet there's a bunch of other businesses that might do the same thing for events once people can congregate again. Hopefully that day is definitely out there. I'm always conscious of people's time. We're, about 45 minutes in at this point. I know Jeff Kiker just made a comment that he had to hop on another call, but he's there and available to you guys anytime you want. Jeff, if you don't know him, is a small business person here in DeKalb County as well. So he's a great advocate for all of us. So definitely keep reaching out to him for whatever you need. But I thought any parting thoughts, like, realize our audience that we're trying to talk to right now is the small business community. But any parting thoughts at all about the experiences that you've had, or a lesson that you learned, or just any bit of wisdom you might have that you would love to just share, or anything in general before we wrap up here? Jenna, I'll let you go first.
Okay. I would say the biggest thing is just don't be afraid to reach out and connect with other businesses. You never know how you might be able to help each other out or work together. And we have a lot more in common than we may think sometimes. And I know that these friendships have really helped our business a lot during this time. And it's been just really nice for me too, to connect with these other people. So not just as a business, but just, having these guys as friends has been a really great thing too.
Yeah, that's awesome. How about you there, Steve?
I would say just to be flexible, as business models go and everything. I know a lot of businesses kind of get into here's what we've been doing for a long time, and times like this happen, and you gotta change. You gotta go with the flow a little bit. And I think that knowing that some things are going to change, and that we all have strengths, and I think every business needs to just be flexible and go with what customers are communicating to you, because customers they're constantly communicating, right? They're always either buying your product or they're not buying your product, and that's communication. So when customers are saying things, or not purchasing or not going out and spending their money, that's communication. So I would say just be flexible and go with the flow, especially right now. Nobody knows what tomorrow has in store for us. So, planning ahead, I've been lucky that I'm just not a big plan ahead guy. So I pretty flexible, like the improv, and that's been, I think, a big help for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And that whole, the lesson I've been learning with all the different small businesses I've been on, and the ones that are making the most out of this situation are the ones that have thought of what does the customer want, right? And from redesigning storefront windows where they can come by and shop by looking at a piece of glass and then calling and having someone pick out stuff, to Bill McMahon with the Lincoln Inn offering meal replacements where you can go and buy a whole meal for your family, right? He never did that, but he's doing it now. Yeah. And then you guys with your alliance, and actually doing deliveries and offering all three of your products to be a little more versatile. So people want to drink beer, and they want to drink local beer. And how cool is it that they can have it delivered to their door? So I keep seeing that over and over again. So I would encourage everyone out there, think of what the customer wants. I mean, on social media, you want to tell your story. You want to keep posts like Steve talked about, going every day. You want to keep relevant, and one way to do that is by keeping current. But then also, as Steve mentioned, listen, right? And just think about, have that empathy. If you were in their shoes, how would you want to engage with your shop? And if you can, adapt and accommodate for that. And you might generate some other business, but at a minimum, you're going to remain top of mind with them. So when the COVID-19 crisis ends, they're going to remember you, your store, and your story. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. I do want to thank the two of you again. You were amazing, as I knew you would be. Jenna with Jonamac Orchard, and Steve with Byers Brewing Company. two local establishments here. You can Google both of them online. Definitely encourage you all to frequent their shops. Lastly, I want to remind everyone that this is DeKalb County Unites. You can go to DeKalbCountyUnites.com. There you're going to find a wealth of information as a small business owner on the different stimulus packages that are out there. But what's transitioning into one of the most important things is our webinar series. Because on Mondays, we're going to have Frank Roberts and Mark Kerman on again, an accountant and a banker. And we're really going to start talking about the stimulus money a lot of us have received. Now, how do we account for it? How do we report on it? How do we do all those things? So that's just been a great session. But then Wednesdays and Fridays, we bring on industry experts and small businesses to share what they're doing to be successful during this COVID-19 crisis. And on our website, DeKalbCountyUnites.com, you can find all the webinars pre-recorded. Please go back, listen to some of them. There were some great people on there with some amazing ideas. So that's it. Thanks again, you two. I really appreciate it. Good luck through the month of May. I'll make sure personally that I have some of your, I'm not a beer drinker like you said, Steve, but I can have one or two here and there. And I'll definitely try some of that hard cider, Jenna. All right, you two, thanks again, and take care, everyone, and stay safe.
Thank you.